Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our latest live video. As usual, we're on the various different social media platforms. So if you are watching this live, if you do have any questions or any comments or any queries, please do, feel free to put them in the various comment boxes, and we'll try to cover as many as possible. Now, today's subject, when we're talking about health and fitness, and I know it's an area that probably does bring up a lot of questions for a lot of people, and it can be a bit of a minefield of an area. So if you do have anything that you want any support or any questions for Jennie, please do put them in the box, and I'll ask Jennie to see if we can answer some of them later. If you happen to watch this and it's on demand, it's after the live event, please do still ask the question though, because I can put them to Jennie offline as well, and so doesn't really matter. But obviously, if you are watching it live, then please do put it to us now. So yeah, obviously I've briefly mentioned who you are, but Jennie, do you want to quickly introduce yourself before I fire into a few questions?
Yes, absolutely. Hello, I'm Jennie Edmondson from Go Health and Fitness, otherwise known as Give It 10 Jen. I think we'll probably get a bit more into Give It 10 later, but yeah, I've been working in the fitness industry now for 9 years since I left the Royal Air Force after 23 years service, and work primarily with middle-aged men and women, but primarily women looking to get control of their hormones, lose a little bit of weight, get some more energy, and make the most out of the time we're on the planet.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, one of the first questions I was going to ask, the last year has obviously given many people a chance to reflect on lots of different things in our lives. So obviously, we'll talk about it from a health and fitness point of view. What kind of changes have you seen people in terms of where they are looking at the whole health and fitness area of their life now compared to 18 months or so ago? Is there any differences?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think a lot of people, certainly at the moment, they're all thinking about I think the first lockdown, people were really sort of using it to get into shape. A lot of people kind of went straight into beast mode and sort of started leaping around doing some crazy stuff. And then they realized, certainly sort of middle-aged people suddenly realized that actually you take for granted your health and fitness a lot when you're in your kind of 20s and maybe early 30s, maybe even a little bit later. But suddenly, maybe you've had kids and family or whatever, and you start getting into it in your late 30s, 40s and 50s, you suddenly realize that your body isn't what it was back then, and you get a lot more easily injured, and you can't go straight into doing some high intensity stuff. Sometimes you need to take it a bit more carefully. But I think people are just understanding that, when you've got a body that is stronger and fitter, when you've taken time, I think this could go down a million different rabbit holes here. I'm conscious it goes a lot of different ways, but I think people are understanding that the better and stronger they are, the better they're eating, the better they're nourishing themselves, the healthier and fitter you'll be, the better life you'll have, the more energy you'll have, the better and stronger your immune system will be, and the better able to fight off. We've seen a lot of people who are perhaps not as healthy, overweight and all the rest of it, potentially struggling more getting through if they've been infected with COVID-19 or whatever over this time. So I think people are noticing really how much better life is when you're stronger and fitter and you're eating well and nourishing your mind and body to deal with infections and things.
Oh, absolutely. Joe Wicks has got a lot to answer for a lot of injuries, hasn't he, around April last year? And it was
Yeah, no, I think Joe Wicks is awesome, but there was a real thing. Joe Wicks-itis was a real thing, when people just sort of leave. I think what he did was fantastic, and don't take anything away from that. Brilliant. But people were underestimating how quickly you can get injured if you haven't built some strong foundations. It's like building a house. You've got to build some strong foundations before you start leaping around, out here. It's all about dialing down on the core and your glutes and some stability as well as mobility. But stabilizing your body first is something that's very underestimated.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll go into kind of mechanics of what people can do and stuff like that in a minute. But I guess one of the important things is the improvement in the health side, and we all know that I guess most people understand what those benefits are. But from a mind point of view, from shall we say a professional point of view, in terms of you working, whether it's your own business or working for someone else, what can be the benefits to someone being healthier, being more active? What can make a big difference?
Well, I think just, it's use it or lose it. If you're not, our body is designed and it's evolved to move and be strong and be healthy and run and jump. And of course, when you're sitting all day long and you're in bad posture, you're not moving, it really starts to play heavily on our bodies, because we're not designed to sit all day long. And also the stress involved with work, and of course, the stresses over the last 18 months. Even if you've been furloughed and you've had chance to perhaps do some more exercise or rest and relax, there's still been a lot of stress involved in that, whether it's financial worries or health worries or whatever. So I think we've really come to realize the importance of exercise and mindset on stress levels. And this could turn into a huge chat about stress and cortisol and what cortisol does to your body. In fact, some training I've just done recently has talked a lot more about that. But the havoc that stress plays on your body and cortisol plays on your body in terms of shutting down other bodily symptoms, we're in this kind of low-level chronic stress state most of the time, when our bodies are actually only designed to deal with stress in short bursts. Reproduction shuts down, digestion shuts down, the immune system shuts down, because those things aren't important when there's stress around and we have to run away from tigers.
Oh, absolutely. I know for myself, when I exercise in the morning before work, how much more productive I am on those days. And I guess some of it's in your head a little bit, but that doesn't really matter. I guess that it does make a big difference. I just think the energy levels and the kind of wakes you up as much as anything else. Even if whatever you do in the morning is not particular, you don't have a great gym session or a great run or whatever you're doing, the difference it makes your day will still be massive.
Oh, huge. Yeah, I've just started a local boot camp actually since lockdown have eased a couple of weeks ago. And it starts at 6 a.m. and I know most people are like, oh my goodness, I don't want to get up at getting up at 5:30 or 5:15 5:45 to come to a session at 6 o'clock. And even when my alarm goes off, I'm like, oh my goodness, I've got to go and teach this session. But actually we get in there, we get running around, and everyone just loves it. And I had a chat to the guys and girls this morning, and I just said, how's this working for you time wise? And they said, it's hard, but once we're here, we love it, and we just smash the rest of the day. They're feeling energized, engaged, then whatever happens for the rest of the day, you don't come home from work thinking, oh, right, now I've got to go for a run, or now I've got to go and do something. And the kids, suddenly something happens and you've got to sort them out and sort tea out. So yeah, working out in the morning is just, there's so many benefits to it.
No, I couldn't agree more. And thank you for your comment, Fernando. I've seen how important it is to be healthy. If you don't move, you can get very serious health problems. Absolutely. And obviously it's not the magic bullet that's going to stop everything, but it's all about giving yourself the best chance, isn't it, I guess? And
yeah, they always say if you could put the benefits of movement and taking care of yourself in a pill, it would be deemed as a magic formula. Everyone would be taking it. But, it's massively underestimated. I always like to think of movement as your muscles and your body's like a concrete mixer. It's got to keep moving. If that stops, everything starts, solidifying. So there's always a good sort of mental picture to have in your mind of your body in that concrete mixer. It's got to keep moving.
Oh, absolutely. And another great point. It's so important to focus on both mental and physical health. Absolutely. And I think, obviously, we're not going to go too much into mental health today, but it is the two are very closely aligned, aren't they? There's no doubt about that. They both complement each other.
Yes.
So if you're in a strong position in both, or in one, it'll help the other. So one thing I'm always a big believer in is habits, and how important habits are to being healthy and to be active. What's your kind of experiences of that, Jennie?
Yeah, totally. I mean, getting into the habit of doing something, whether that's, bad things and good things. We get in the habit of, coffee and alcohol and sugary snacks and, sitting down as soon as you come in, all that stuff will lead you down one path, where there is, simple tweaks to those habits can lead you down a whole different path. But it can be quite difficult. People sometimes start a training program or a new way of eating or nutrition stuff. And when you're dealing with habits that you've had 10, 20, 30, 40 years, don't expect to just change those habits in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or even, a couple of months. Sometimes it takes a long time to undo bad habits. So I think a lot of people beat themselves up if they don't get where they want to be in a short space of time. Just think about how long you've been doing that for, and, how gradually you might need to undo it or, make some healthy adjustments to it. But, start small. Nail it, nail something. You've got the rest of your life potentially. So what I'd say to people is don't try and change too much at once, because it does get overwhelming very quickly. Nail one thing, even if it's a couple of weeks, couple of months, get that nailed, move on to something else. So I always say to people, start with water, drink a bit more water, then cut down on caffeine, then up your exercise, maybe add a couple of portions of veggies to your meals, and just gradually things that aren't a boom and bust, aren't going to be something that you do for a month and then go back to old habits. Living a healthy lifestyle should be something you're thinking about long term, not a 4-week program that you can't, yes, absolutely. Doing something for a 4-week, 8-week is great now and again, but think about those habits and things you can keep going for life, not stuff you're going to just do for a short amount of time. Yeah.
Absolutely, that makes sense. I mean, on that, actually, it's a good point about, little changes. Give it 10. And obviously you've told me about this before. Do you want to kind of explain what your kind of ideas behind Give It 10 are?
Yeah, absolutely. So Give It 10 is something I started with, years and years ago. I would say to people, if they were saying, well, how do I fit things in and how do I make time to exercise? And I would sort of be out and about and I'd do a quick Facebook Live and say, look, there's a bench, give it 10 press ups, give it 10 sit ups, give it 10, so I started to say to people, just 10 minutes or 10 repetitions or even 10 seconds of something. If you can give it 10 every single day, whether that's, say, 10 seconds, 10 repetitions, preferably 10 minutes would be nice. Start there. And, I started saying this a long time ago, and then people started calling up, Give It 10 Jen. They sort of said, oh, it's Give It 10 Jen. And, that kind of stuck. And I say this to people all the time. And if you can't think of anything, just, when you're waiting for the kettle to boil, do 10 press ups on the kitchen counter. When you're doing your teeth, do 10 squats. When you're struggling to work, just get up and walk outside and take 10 deep breaths of air. Taking 10 steps where you are, even when you're sitting down at the traffic light, you squeeze your butt cheeks 10 times, you can be doing something all the time. Because something is always better than nothing. 10 repetitions is better than nothing. 10 seconds is better than nothing. What I say to people, and I reckon this could change the world. If you're standing up or sitting down, stand up, get down on the floor, roll over and stand up. Do that 10 times a day, and that could change the world, I think. I call it my stand up to get down. And that's my ultimate Give It 10 is just like get down on the floor, stand back up again, roll over.
Love it. I remember when you mentioned there about waiting for the kettle to boil. I remember when I was recovering from a knee operation that the surgeon said that to me about obviously all the stuff I needed to do in the recovery. But he said one thing, when you're waiting for the kettle to boil, just do 10-15 seconds of stability exercises on your knee, stand there and doing that. And the difference that made, and then you realize how much you did in a day in time you wouldn't normally do, made such a difference.
There's always time. It's like whenever I'm on the phone, I walk up and down the kitchen, whilst I'm on the phone, even sometimes walk up and down the stairs and try not to get too into heavy breathing down the phone. But just, if you can walk up and down the garden when you're on the phone, so, if you're on the mobile, there's always something you can do, whether you're sitting, whether you're lying down, whether you're, waiting in the doctor's surgery, you can, even abdominal crunches, you can brace your stomach 10 times, hold for 10 seconds. Go through that 3 times and you've done a little workout when you just sat down doing nothing. I did last year I did a queue size workout. So 10 exercises you can do quite sort of surreptitiously when you're queuing to get in the supermarket, because all those huge queues that were kind of waiting to get in the supermarkets. And I sort of gave people ideas because so many people are sort of standing there slouching or scrolling through their phone while they're, queuing to wait to get into, Asda. It's like stand and do some exercise while you're standing there. There's always something you can be doing. I was actually in Blackpool. I took my girls to Blackpool Pleasure Beach on Friday. Oh my goodness. Talk about queues. There was a lot of queues. And so when we were standing there, I was like just raising myself up onto my toes. At one point, the queue I was on a step, so I was just stepping up and down. Everyone's just kind of standing there looking around. I thought, I'm darned if I'm going to stand here and do nothing. I'm going to make the most of this 40 minutes I'm stood in the queue for the big one.
That's amazing. I think it makes such a difference. And we've had a question in. I hope I've said this right, Reem. I hope that's how you pronounce your name. But any tips on how to get started with your morning routine and how does that impact your day? So thank you for the question. So any tips on getting started?
Oh, I love a good morning routine. In fact, it's funny, and this wasn't prepped at all. I do actually have a morning routine program. It's 10 steps. You can actually find it if you go to my website. But yes, I have 10 steps, and that there's 10 steps in there that you can kind of incorporate into what you're already doing. It does incorporate a give it 10 of some description, whether that's 10 minutes or just 10 reps of something. But yeah, keep it simple. Like for me, have a glass of water next to your bed. So as soon as you wake up in the morning, you're drinking a glass of water. So you prep that the day before. You know, if you're going to do a bit of exercise, then depending on what it is, I've got a bit of a grumpy back. So I have a shower and then I do a bit of a movement routine after I've had the shower because I've sort of warmed the body up a bit. But if you have, have some protein at breakfast, have a glass of water, give it 10 of some description. And if you just have a little, say, I've got a PDF you print off and you can basically, every single morning, you've got 10 things and you just tick it off. And I think that's having a routine that's written down or having something that you can tick off every morning that just reminds you is a great way to get started, I think.
I agree. That's a great question. Thank you for that. No, hopefully that's helped. I said go check out Jennie's website. There's loads of good stuff on there. I know I've had a look myself. I was going to ask you about Frazzle to Fabulous. I think it's a great name. I want to know more about it, if nothing else.
Frazzle to Fabulous is in the whole spirit of Give It 10. It's a 10-week course. Primarily, as I said, I work with a lot of middle-aged kind of menopausal type women. So Frazzle to Fabulous is really geared towards women over 35. Although on the last course, I had a 27-year-old and a 65-year-old. So it's all about taking you from being frazzled, feeling overwhelmed, not knowing where to start, into feeling fabulous by the end of the 10 weeks. So we start off, there's very much 3 pillars to fitness in my book. It's nutrition, movement, and mindset. And you need to be working on all 3 to see real lasting results. So throughout the course, we have a midweek mindset. So we focus on something to do, with your headspace around your health. We also work on nutrition. So starting very simply, again, starting on those things of more water, less caffeine, more veg, getting more diversity of plants into your diet. Simple things. So we start small and we just build up. In the middle of the course as well, we do a gut makeover, a gut reset, which I'm absolutely passionate about, is the climate of your gut health and the gut microbiome. It's a huge subject, too much to go into here, but that's part of the program, and that sees people getting fantastic results going through the gut reset section of the program. And of course, exercise. So as I've said, we start very simply. I start on what's called my back to basics kind of routine, building those foundations and then gradually sort of increasing the intensity until you start to do some more high intensity stuff towards the end, but all geared around stuff that you can slot into your everyday. So 10-minute, some of them towards the end are slightly longer, 20 minutes, sometimes half an hour, but you can kind of break them down into 3 10-minute workouts or whatever. But just taking away the overwhelm, because there's so much, I don't want to swear, but so much BS online about, where to start, what to do, magic potions and pills and shred fests and all the rest of it that are just, they're not designed for life. They're not designed to be sustainable. They're not, most people need stuff that they can work into their everyday going forward. So that's kind of what Frazzle to Fabulous is.
No, that makes sense. And again, thank you. Thank you for that response to your earlier question as well. So, but I was just going to ask you mentioned about overwhelm and information, because the thing about the fitness and health, and there is lots of information out there, is I know you have an app, for example, but also there's a lot of technology that can help you with these type of things now, isn't it? Whether monitoring the food, you've got the apps that you have, or things like watches, and when you're monitoring your exercise and heart rates and all that kind of thing. Now, how important do you think they are to help people? And because I'm one of these people, I like to be able to measure things. So I like to be able to see my numbers, whatever I'm doing the exercise, whether it's heart rates or zones or things like that. But how important is that for people to use those things to keep them motivated?
I think it's brilliant. I mean, technology, use it. Why not? It's there to be used. And, at the end of the day, I'm checking my steps. I've been known to be running around the kitchen at 9:30 in the evening just to get my last 1,000 steps in if I haven't at least done 10,000 steps a day. So really, really vital. And, you know, even if, as I said, it's printing off a piece of paper with a tick chart on it or tracking it on an app, as I said, I do have my own app, which you get access to on my monthly membership or on Frazzle to Fabulous. And there you can track your measurements, track your weight, if you're on a weight loss kind of journey. But even on my recipes, I have a recipe pack part of my monthly membership as well. And in the recipe pack, there's the MyFitnessPal barcode. So a lot of people like to scan that and keep track of there. Now, I'm not a big one for counting calories, certainly at the start of someone's journey, because it's too overwhelming. I think calorie counting can really be dialed down if you really got specific goals. But most people at the start of their journey or just want to stay healthy, then I'm not into calorie counting at all. Again, because everybody's body is completely different. How you burn a calorie is not how I burn a calorie. It's all down to your individual, genetic makeup. The amount of energy you kind of take in from the food that you eat is different than the amount of energy I'll take in. So calories can be really, really misleading. But no, I love technology. I think the Fitbit apps are great. The Garmin's or whatever it is you choose to track your steps. Movement mostly, I think, is the most important thing. I think, again, calories can be a bit of a misnomer on these things, but movement definitely is a great one. And people love the metrics, whether it's Strava and seeing how far they've gone, and if it anything that gets you to move more and to engage more with your health, then I'm all for it.
Oh, I'm sorry, it gets me because I like competing with myself, and that's what gets me going. So I think it's great, those type of things. Also, we already mentioned your website and other things, Jennie. If people want to find out a bit more about what you do and contact you, where's the best places to look and go?
Well, you can certainly find me at gohealthandfitness.co.uk. I do have a Facebook group, Give It 10, which is all about it's all about simple things. So I try and post some recipes in there, some exercises in there, just some motivation in there, trying to get the chat going. And I do encourage people to ask questions in there about their health and fitness, and I try and jump in there and help people when I can. Also on Instagram, I'm not as good on Instagram as I hope to be because it can get quite overwhelming trying to stay on all the social media channels. But I'm Give It 10 Jen on Instagram, definitely on LinkedIn. I try and post some stuff on there as well. I spend most of my time probably on Facebook because that's where my group is. So I try and support my group. There's always, if you plug in Frazzle to Fabulous or Give It 10 or Go Health and Fitness, you'll definitely find me online.
Brilliant. That's great, Jennie. I really thank you. I think it's great what you're doing. I think what the area that you're doing, I think it's so important. I'm a big believer in that it's going to be even more important in the coming years. I think the whole health and fitness world, I think something we as a nation and as a race need to look at even more and more as we go forward. So I think it's really interesting and thank you for your time today. I really, really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. It's been great to be here. I just say to people, keep it simple. Don't try and overwhelm yourself. And when people online start saying this one secret thing, just step away because, there's no big secrets in the health and fitness industry. What you eat, how you think, how you move, just keep it simple and take small steps every day. Give it 10 every day.
Thank you, Jennie. You've made me motivated to go out for a run tonight now. So thank you for that.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much for your time.
Cheers.